Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing checking in. Got a break in between team meetings? Sounds like the perfect time for some fast-paced fun at Chumba Casino. No waiting, just instant action to keep you going. So next time you need a pick-me-up, fire it up and take a spin. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba!
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
What's it like to care for someone who's sick? To wait for answers, to hope for healing. These are the moments our nation's healthcare teams and their patients face every single day. And it's why we do what we do. We're Siemens Healthineers, and we pioneer breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere. Across the country, from rural communities to busy cities, our medical imaging, therapy, and laboratory solutions help providers deliver care that can be smarter, faster, and more precise. With more than 17,000 employees across the United States, we're driving innovations that support healthcare teams, strengthen systems, and truly change people's lives. Because for us, it's about more than technology, more than innovation. It's a promise, built for generations. Siemens Healthineers.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Toby.
And welcome to The Whispering Woods. This episode is all about
Foreign goddesses.
Yeah, so we've got goddesses of the harvest, basically. We're doing these episodes now because it's around the time of the corn full moon. Full moon, I couldn't say that very well. So now is the time to do my favourite episodes. Harvest scary stuff. Harvest horror, that's what we called it in yesterday's, wasn't it? All part of Season of the Witch. You'll see it all kind of works together. But first of all, we have a new patron.
Helen P.
Hi, Helen. Thank you so much for coming over and joining our Patreon. We really, really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month you can listen completely ad-free. For £4.50 a month you can listen to this podcast and our other podcast, Obscurata, ad-free. We're also on Apple Premium, where for $4.99 you can subscribe directly in the app and listen to both podcasts absolutely free. You can also leave ratings and reviews. It really helps. And don't forget to click follow in your podcast there, and then you'll never miss an episode. Right. The story. So we've got 3 goddesses of the corn or wheat or harvest, and I've done it in one long story. Are you ready for the story?
Yes, I am.
The harvest has always been a threshold between life and death. Picture the late summer fields, stalks of grain gilded by the sun, the promise of food for the winter, yet one drought or blight away from famine. Our ancestors knew that terrifying power well. Agrarian life bred supernatural fears. Every field under the moon hid monsters. Every fruitful harvest demanded a sacrifice. In this episode, we explore 3 dark, folkloric figures tied to the corn and grain harvest. These are no gentle deities of plenty, but haunting beings born of survival's desperation. A Slavic noon witch, a corn mother whose gift comes through blood, and an Aztec maize goddess who demands life for life. Each tale is rooted in its culture's soil, yet all sharing a chilling truth. The bounty of the earth can exact a dreadful price. Under the blistering noonday sun, in old Slavic villages, farmers would pause and fall silent. The Habinista was watching, also called the cornflower wraith, or Lady Cornflower. Habinista is a noon demon, said to haunt the grain fields. In local lore of the Prudnik region, they describe a slim young woman in an azure blue dress, cornflower blossoms woven in her hair, drifting among the ripening crops. Do not be fooled by her beauty. Habinista's whisper is deadly. If a peasant dared to toil under the burning sun, trampling the grain or carelessly swinging his scythe when he ought to rest, a soft voice might call out his name. She would lull the offender into a stupor and freeze him in his tracks, leaving him with blinding headaches, a crooked spine, or worse. Many tales say those she judged harshly never came home from the fields. Habinista would twist their arms, break their legs, or even snap their neck with uncanny strength. Her vengeance was as sudden as a summer stroke. A field hand found collapsed among the corn, mouth agape, as if he'd seen a witch at noon. What did Habinista want? In a sense, she was the field's guardian, punishing disrespect and overwork. Midday was sacred to her. Villagers learned that to avoid the cornflower witch's wrath, one must respect the noon hour and cease work when the church bell tolled for Angelus. In an age before science, this custom had practical wisdom. Resting at noon prevented heat stroke, but the people's explanation was steeped in myth. Habinista will get you if you don't stop at noon, they warned. Parents used her as a scarecrow for children too. Young ones were kept away from the cornfields at midday, lest a fair-looking lady with sky-blue skirts beckon them into the swaying stalks never to return. The overlap between witch and deity is clear here. Habinista, like her kin, the Puludnista, Lady Midday, was feared as a demon, yet also respected, almost like a minor goddess of the harvest, a being whose rules must be obeyed to ensure the grain's safety. The line between cautionary tale and religious reference blurred in those furrows of wheat. Was she truly a witch lurking to do harm, or an ancient harvest spirit ensuring humans showed humility under the sun? In the end, it didn't matter. The effect was the same. Come noon, the fields of Eastern Europe felt eerily quiet, save for the whisper of the wind through the grain, and perhaps the hushed breath of Habinista herself, waiting among the cornflowers. In harvest folklore, Around the world, a mysterious figure looms large, the Corn Mother. She goes by many names and faces, yet whether in the old world or the new, her story is woven with sacrifice, rebirth, and dread. In Europe's farming communities, the Corn Mother was often imagined as a crone hidden in the last sheaf of grain. Cutting the final sheaf meant setting her free, or so the superstition went. So reapers might spare a handful of stalks or fashion them into corn dolls to house her spirit until next season. Among Slavic and Germanic peoples, this harvest mother had a notably dark aspect. They called her the Rye Mother, or names like Rosanna Baba and Salisna Baba, literally Iron Hag, referring to an old witch with iron tools and even iron body parts. In these tales, the Corn Mother is no gentle grandmother, but a predator. Manifesting as a sinister old woman, she hunts for children at harvest time, with her iron hook clutched in hand. Woe to the unlucky child who strays among the stalks. The Iron Hag will snatch them up. The legend says she carries her victims off to a shadowy place and offers them her iron breast to suckle. But from those cold teats comes not milk, only black poison that sickens and maddens. A venom that kills slowly. It's a grotesque Gothic image, an anti-Madonna of the fields, nourishing with death instead of life. Scholars now suggest this nightmare embodied a real threat in old rye fields. Ergot fungus, the dark smut on damp grain that can poison those who consume it. Ergotism, sometimes called holy fire, brought hallucinations, gangrene, and insanity. Afflictions one might liken to the curse of a witch. The folk mind turned a toxic blight into a hag with poisonous breasts, making sense of senseless illness by giving it a face. Thus the Corn Mother's dual nature. She was revered as the spirit of nourishment and fertility in good times, yet in lean times she became a witch lurking in the silo, a being to blame for milled wet grain and children's deaths. The word Baba in Slavic can mean both an old woman and the last sheaf of harvest, as if acknowledging that in that final bundle of grain, an ancient female spirit lay coiled. The Corn Mother was the harvest personified, kind or cruel by season, sustaining life or taking it. Across the ocean, the Corn Mother appears in indigenous American mythologies with a similarly fearsome grace. Among the Cherokee people, she is known as Silu, which simply means corn, the first woman and the giver of maize. Silu's story is as tragic as it is foundational. In the beginning, she fed her family by magic. Every day, she would fill a basket with cornmeal and beans, seemingly conjured from her body. One day, her twin sons spied on her and recoiled at what they saw. Silu rubbed her stomach and under her arms, and corn and beans poured out. The boys, born in a time of superstition, believed their mother was a witch. "This will never do. Our mother is a witch. If we eat any of that, it will poison us. We must kill her," they whispered. And so they did. Silu's own children turned on her, announcing their intent to kill, and the Corn Mother did not resist. In some versions, she knew their plans and accepted her fate, but her death would not be the end. With her last breath, Silu instructed the boys how to ensure the corn would continue to sustain them. "When you have killed me, clear a large patch of ground in front of the house, drag my body in circles around the field. She told them to drag her corpse 7 times around the clearing, and then over the ground itself, and to watch through the night. The twins carried out the grim ritual. They struck their mother down with their clubs, even severing her head and placing it on the roof facing west, as if to watch for her husband's return. They then cleared a plot and pulled Silu's lifeless body around and across the soil as instructed. Wherever her blood dripped onto the earth, cornstalks sprouted in the moonlight. By dawn, an abundant crop stood where the ground had been barren the day before. The first corn, born from Corn Mother's sacrifice. Silu had used her own blood to ensure a plentiful supply of corn for her children. The boys' fear and violence, their cry of witch, was answered with a mother's ultimate gift of renewal. In the Cherokee corn myth, life springs from death, and a mother's love outlives her body. The tale of Silu is just one of many corn mother legends among Native American nations. In various forms, indigenous peoples recount how a divine mother's death or disappearance brought forth the mace, the staple of life. Among the Muskogee, the story of an old woman who bathed and groomed a boy with corn until he discovered her secret, and she vanished into the corn itself. The Algonquin tale of First Mother, who sacrificed herself so her people would not go hungry, her flesh becoming squash and corn and beans. Always there is the theme, blood for bounty, sacrifice for survival. Even in a distant Mesoamerica, echoes of the Corn Mother reverberate, which leads us to our final figure, one of Aztec pantheon's most important and most ominous goddess of the harvest. In the Aztec world, mace was life. It was the food of the gods given to humankind, and the very substance that formed the people in their creation stories. To grow mace in the unforgiving climate of the Mexican plateau required divine favour, and so the Aztecs devoted a complex cycle of worship to the corn deities. At the centre of these was Chimalcaltli, whose name in Nahuatl means 7 serpent. By this name, Aztecs understood the goddess's dual nature. 7 is a number of mystic balance, and the serpent symbolises both creation and destruction. Chimalcaltli was revered as the goddess of nourishment and plenty, the female aspect of Mace who ensured the people were fed. But hidden within that bounty was a threat, a serpent's bite. Indeed, if harvest failed and famine stalked the land, the Aztecs saw the dark side of Chimalcaltli, believing perhaps that her anger or capricious will had brought the ruin. She embodied Mace, and thus could give prosperity, yet she could also withhold it, a deity to appease lest she became wrathful. Art and codices depict Chimalcaltli as a majestic figure, a youthful woman sometimes shown with her face painted in red ochre, wearing a tall ornate headdress of braided paper and jewellery of dried mace. In sculptures, she is often shown seated and holding 2 ripe ears of corn close to her breast, presenting the corn as both gift and her very essence. In one hand she may hold a shield emblazoned with the sun, symbolising life, and in the other the corn, symbolising sustenance. Yet Aztec lore also described terrible aspects of her form. One ancient source claimed Chimalcaltli would appear as a beautiful young woman who brought death with her embrace. To be touched by this goddess in her lethal aspect was instant death, an image that calls to mind a deadly fertility spirit, not unlike the harvest wraiths of Europe. It seems even in a highly organised religion, folk fears persisted in giving the corn goddess a ghostly, dangerous presence. The Aztecs honoured Chiconcote in the month of Huitzilopochtli, the great harvest festival each spring. This was no quaint Thanksgiving. It was a time of blood and prayer under the gaze of the volcanoes. During the ceremonies, priestesses garbed in the goddess's image, bedecked in straw-coloured robes and paper headdresses, would select the finest ears of corn as seed offerings for the next planting. These chosen kernels, meant to carry life into the new season, were themselves called Chimacote. They bore the goddess's name, as if each seed held a fragment of her spirit. But the rituals did not end with symbolic offerings. To truly secure her favour for a good harvest, the Aztecs were prepared to go to horrific lengths. According to the chronicler Fray Diego Duran, the priests appeased the maize goddess with human blood, often the blood of children. Imagine the scene in the great temple precinct of Tenochtitlan, amid swirling incense and the music of drums. A procession ascends the steps. The high priest, in ritual costume, offers prayers to Seven Serpent. Below, the crowd watches in tense silence. On a carved stone altar, a child, chosen for their innocence and purity, is laid out as a living sacrifice to Chiconcote. The belief was stark and uncompromising. Only by feeding the earth with innocent blood could the cycle of life continue. The child's tears were thought to beckon the life-giving rains, and their heartbeat, given to the gods, would ensure the mace would grow tall and nourishing for all. In that cruel logic, the goddess of sustenance was also a goddess of sacrifice. Her gift of corn could not be taken for granted. It had to be brought with life. The Aztecs, who depended on maize as their main food, believed that even the continuation of the sun in the sky required feeding the gods. Chiconcote was no exception. The earth was like a mother, and mothers bled to give birth. Thus each harvest was a kind of birth, and blood was the price of delivery. Yet even in this grim cycle, there was reverence. After the sacrifice, the community would feast, never on the victims. Aztec sacrifice to agricultural deities did not involve cannibalism. Unlike some war rituals, they ate tamales and gruel made from the new corn, solemn and thankful. The harvested maize, now consecrated by the ritual, was safe to eat, while the dried seed corn imbued with Chicomalte's blessing was kept aside to plant for the next season. In this way, the Aztecs showed both devotion and dread. Chiconcote was the nurturer of their people, but also an awe-inspiring force who required absolute obedience and tribute. She was a goddess, but one with a witch-like hunger for the lifeblood of the community. The agrarian fear that without a sacrifice the crops may fail was given its highest, most ritualized form under her cult. From the Slavic wheat fields to the Cherokee forests to the Aztec highlands, we find an uncanny resonance. The spirit of the harvest is as much feared as it is venerated. These folkloric figures, Habanista, the Corn Mother, Chiconcote, are all born from the understanding that survival itself has a cost. Harvest time brings abundance, but lurking in its shadows is the possibility of scarcity and starvation. To our ancestors, it seemed only natural that such a high-stakes drama would play out in the supernatural realm. If the fields were generous, perhaps a goddess smiled. If the crops withered, perhaps a witch or demon had cursed them. In Habanista and the Rye Mother, we see a blurred line between witch and deity, a being who protects the grain but will break the harvester's bones for his folly. In the Corn Mother Selû, we see a beloved mother goddess slain as a suspected witch, whose spilled blood literally transforms into food for her people. In Chimkomkote, we see a deity worshipped with the same trembling horror one might feel for a dark sorceress, a goddess who nourishes yet asks for innocent lives in exchange. The theme of blood-soaked bounty runs through all three cultures' tales. It's a stark acknowledgement that life requires death. The grain must die for the people to live. And in myth, this sacrifice is often made explicit and literal. There is an old harvest saying, "You reap what you sow." But in these dark stories, one reaps only after sowing blood or pain. The Slavs left offerings and avoided the noon sun so that the field wraith would not claim a life. The Europeans tied up the last sheaf as an effigy, a placeholder to trick the corn witch, so she wouldn't take a human instead. The Cherokee and other tribes recounted how the very origin of corn was steeped in gore and love, a mother's death giving birth to the crop, and the Aztecs, in grand and terrible ceremonies, willingly spilled blood to secure the harvest, making the connection between human flesh and food on their tables viscerally clear. Ultimately, these myths and rituals provided an answer to a brutal question: what is the price of survival? The answer was counted in broken bones, in frightened children, in mothers' tears and in sacrificial blood. Yet from that darkness came food, safety, and the continuation of the community. The terrifying harvest figures of folklore personify the truth that nothing comes for free, not even the grain that sustains us. The fields may be golden and beautiful in the autumn light, but their riches were thought to be guarded by hidden forces with iron claws and serpent fangs. Our ancestors walked in those fields with scythes in hand and prayers on their lips, believing that unseen eyes watched every cut of the blade. They respected and feared the harvest as something alive, something hungry. So next time you break your bread, remember the old stories. Remember that deep under the stubble of the reaped corn, the corn mother's heart may lie buried, and from it flows the nourishment of the world. Each loaf, each tortilla was brought by sacrifice once, whether the sacrifice of a god, a spirit, or the earth itself. Such tales, gothic and chilling, were how our forebears made sense of the cruel bargain of existence. The harvest gives and the harvest takes away. In these dark folkloric figures, the harvest giver and taker become one. The next time you wander a silent field at noon, or see the last stalks left standing in a farm at summer's end, you might feel a prickling at your neck. Perhaps Habanista's whisper is floating by, or the corn mother's spirit lingers, or Chimkamkoti watches with serpent eyes. They are reminders that, in ages past, every bushel of grain was a gift from gods or ghosts, a gift that always, always had a price.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
What's it like to care for someone who's sick? To wait for answers, to hope for healing. These are the moments our nation's healthcare teams and their patients face every single day. And it's why we do what we do. We're Siemens Healthineers, and we pioneer breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere. Across the country, from rural communities to busy cities, our medical imaging, therapy, and laboratory solutions help providers deliver care that can be smarter, faster, and more precise. With more than 17,000 employees across the United States, we're driving innovations that support healthcare teams, strengthen systems, and truly change people's lives. Because for us, it's about more than technology, more than innovation. It's a promise, built for generations. Siemens Healthineers.
Today, when I put this episode together, it really brought back that kind of horror if something happens to your food. Like food security stuff. Things we don't generally think about these days because there's always food. But can you imagine years ago when there wasn't that sort of globalization, and so if the crops failed in one country or one particular region, people would starve.
Suffer.
Or starve to death. And it really brings that home because I have been thinking a lot more about food security because the world is quite unstable at the moment.
You know, water is going to be the most valuable thing one day.
Yeah, you think?
Yep.
Something's going to go on with that. But they keep, like, over here in this country, they just give themselves loads of bonuses and make us pay more. I'm just really angry at the minute about all sorts of stuff. I really am.
Yeah.
I think I need to stop going on Twitter/X. Winding myself up for bedtime. My age. What happens? I get infuriated. I think when you're younger, you just carry on about your business. As you get older, you get more involved with the wrongness.
Politics.
Yeah. The stuff that's going on. You know, all of the politicians, they tend to be in it for themselves. They're like career politicians. Anyway, I'm just going to be a witch and live in a little cabin on my own in the woods. Okay, yeah. That's where you shall find me, child.
All right.
With a cat. With a cat. Well, no, I'll take Luna. She's better protection.
Well, that's it in this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. I'll catch you again tomorrow for Obscurata if you're tuning in. Wednesday for Reddit Corn. Scarecrow stories.
Where's all gummed?
Thursday with Toby again for the extra and another Obscurata, and then Sunday for the Haunted. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing checking in. Got a break in between team meetings? Sounds like the perfect time for some fast-paced fun at Chumba Casino. No waiting, just instant action to keep you going. So next time you need a pick-me-up, fire it up and take a spin. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba!
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
What's it like to care for someone who's sick? To wait for answers, to hope for healing. These are the moments our nation's healthcare teams and their patients face every single day. And it's why we do what we do. We're Siemens Healthineers, and we pioneer breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere. Across the country, from rural communities to busy cities, our medical imaging, therapy, and laboratory solutions help providers deliver care that can be smarter, faster, and more precise. With more than 17,000 employees across the United States, we're driving innovations that support healthcare teams, strengthen systems, and truly change people's lives. Because for us, it's about more than technology, more than innovation. It's a promise, built for generations. Siemens Healthineers.